with the newly synchronized ratified by African presidents, what are your hopes and ambitions for this world's largest trade area, not trading volume, but trade area? And would you advise African governments attempting to industrialize and build manufacturing capabilities to benefit on the immediate and long-term benefits of the AFCTA? No better person to address it than yourself, Dr. Konjawa.
Well, I really believe in it, and I'm proud that our presidents have done this. But to make it work, I think we need to do a few more things. There's still logistical issues that prevent us from benefiting. And I think some parts of the continent are doing a little bit better than others. You know, we still have lorries, lining up at borders, and we're looking for digital passports and things so that they can move easily. If you look in East Africa, I think we can ask President Kagame, they're doing better, a little bit better there with movement and cross-border flows. We need to do that. We need to make it easier to move from goods from one part of the country to the other. That also means investment in infrastructure. But movement of people, we can also make it much easier. And I think we have this AU passport. I have one, and I'm very proud of it. The idea is that business people like yourself will eventually get one. Maybe you have one already. And then ordinary Africans will get one so we can move easily. If we want the continental free trade area to work, we must make goods, services, and people flow easily across borders. I'm very hopeful, really very hopeful. And lastly, we don't really have a choice. If we want to change the tenure of growth in Africa, if we want to rely more on ourselves and less on the outside, if we want to export more, to specialize more, to add value to our raw materials, we've got to make this free trade area work. And the WTO is expectant and waiting to support the continent to make this work.
Thank you very much. You hit the nail. You talked about the three most critical factors that we must address if we want to actually capitalize intra-Africa growth and free trade trading. One, the movement of goods, people, services. And I want to say, under services, payments, banking transactions are extremely important on the continent for movement of goods, money, and people, extremely important. I hope that under your tenure, working with great African leaders and the private sector will be able to start the journey to this. As you said, there's no two ways about it. We don't have any option. We must embrace and do this. We're ready.
Tony,
yes, your president. Go ahead, Mr. President. Go ahead.
I think let's make it more interactive. It's going to be. I 100% agree with what my sister Ngozi was saying, and especially technically, how things should be happening. There is something that is lacking or should be there for things to work the way she was mentioning. Leaders have to make it work. Politics, we have to make it work. It's the political will. Because the free movement of people, the logistics part of it, and digitalizing the systems, that's the right way to go. That's the way to go. But how does it happen? Yeah, we still have this big elephant in the room, and that is the politics of it, the political will, the leaders to really put at the forefront the kind of politics that will make these things happen. And I think that's where we are stuck and we may continue to be stuck for a long time. I'm not sure how we deal with this, but, and I know it's a hard ask to tell us what But I'm just sharing this as a sense of frustration, but also something that really needs urgent attention.
Sorry, I don't mean to prevent Makta from talking, but I just want to side with His Excellency and say, but Excellency, what I wanted to say on this is that we've succeeded in this. I want to come back again on this pandemic. Maybe my expectations were low, but I can't stop saying how proud I am about the way the continent has acted together, much more than any other one. So if we can do that with political will, why can't we also do this other even bigger thing that is going to make our economies work? Tell us what we have to do to help engender this political will. If we need to get out on the streets and march, let us know.
Mr. President, over to you. Now it's getting more interactive.
I still think we didn't do enough, even with that, what she has said. We should have done more. We were capable of doing more. I think we shouldn't just be satisfied with the little efforts we put in. No, we need to do more because we are capable of doing more. And we know the need for doing that is staggering. Given the numbers that Ngozi already stated to us, the numbers show how urgent it is. So anyway, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just my frustration.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank you for our conversation. Our audience are listening. You know, they of you, and they're excited about this kind of conversation going on. So, Dr. Okonjo-Iweala spoke about infrastructure. Now, let's go to Mr. Infrastructure. Let's go to Makta. My brother, as the head of the global institution committed to strengthening the private sector in countries, in what ways is the IFC helping to build capacity of small, medium-scale enterprises and young entrepreneurs in Africa? And if I may add, we are seeing that the pandemic has increased our collective reliance on technology. And one lesson we have learned is that digital technology not only has the potential to create new jobs, but can actually boost productivity of existing jobs. As we look towards economic recovery in Africa, how can we enhance internet connectivity on our continent to assist our young ones, in particular, to leverage technology? Dr. Mutafi.
Tony, it is fascinating to hear really my brothers talking about this issue. One of the things which strikes me is that when we are in face of danger, we have the right reaction to regroup, to get together and go over that danger, immediate danger. What we are not good at is sustain our effort on the long run. And this is a different thing. And that's why our success, to my view, in our continent are patchy, because it's often a reaction to a big crisis which imposes us to survive. And therefore, we can gather and do what we have to do. But that, to my view, doesn't lead us, like President Kagame said, to the long run. It's like conflict. You mentioned conflict. You solve one conflict here, another one comes tomorrow, another one comes there, and at the end of the day, you are not able to move the overall project forward. So I think that one of our challenges is to move out from the reactive mode to a mode which is a much longer and sustained and consistent work about that. And I think everything that has been said are important, but I think that the more we will be able, first of all, to act collectively, to seek collective wisdom, because we all need the wisdom of each other to be able to drive and prepare the solution that will be presenting to the leaders to move our continent forward. So for me, this conversation, but transforming it in actions, is very important, where we bring different parts of the solution together to be able to address it. Secondly, we need to more systematically document, systematize and present what has made something a success. Why? Is it random? Is it by chance? Or is it was the consequence of a certain number of actions that we can repeat if we want? And highlighted those, to my view, could help us identifying specifically why we are not able to generalize that movement that will enable us to move. For instance, when I was once I had the chance to talk to President Kagame about digital, what he told me is, Marcha, it's nice to have digital, but why don't you think about digital also as a way to do many things at the same time? Being more trade between countries, being more peace between countries because they will be exchanging more data, but also be able to enact there a real market. And I think this is those kind of things that we have, to my view, to do more systematically. Let's take this crisis. This crisis has told us a few things that we all highlighted. We don't have a health system which is solid in our continent. People are not being vaccinated. People are forgotten when there is a crisis, and it will happen again. Don't expect that things will change if there is another crisis. So what are the lessons that we are drawing from that? Let's build our systems. We sit together, have levels, and we will not be able to build a solid health system, a solid vaccine system, a solid pharmaceutical system if there is not a level of specialization. So we have before us a problem to solve, and moving from that and addressing it and learning how we can do that, for me, would be a good way, at least a small contribution to that conversation. We have here a level where we don't have enough of local value chain, of sub-regional value chain. We can build the value chain, and that will require a level of specialization between countries. And that, if we do that, the infrastructure and all these questions, for me, is the least complicated part of it. The most complicated part of it is to be able to, as President Kagame said, to set those goals, those targets, and be able to do that. There is no region, for instance, that in the digital world will not be competitive. By the end of the year, 100 terabytes of submarine cable will be coming to the continent. In a year and a half, another 180 terabytes will be coming. So 300 terabytes will be on the continent by the end of 2023. 30 times what we have today. So capacity will not be the problem anymore. It's us, it's the continent, to do that. So I will not give you a list of what IFC is doing because that will be boring to you. But this is what, and when we started talking about it, this time I said to our teams, I don't want a trade financing facility which is looking at trading, helping African companies to trade with outside. I want a trade facility which helps trade within Africa. They told me financing companies. I say, yes, large companies can get money. What creates jobs is MSMEs. What can we do for MSMEs? And it will be hard work, and we will be having obstacles, but we need to address them in the open as we go. Sorry if I was busy that long to my friends and to His Excellency President, but I just wanted to react to it and not just to give a list of what IFC is doing.
Exactly what we expect, Mata, and you're not disappointing me at all. And I like that new paradigm you bring to the IFC, not about trade with the rest of the world, but what can we do?
And so, Tony, I will not be off the hook, my brother, because now when we will have these things done, I will ask you to put money in it, as you are doing. So we will need to have all of us chipping in wherever we are. And I know that you will do it because you have shown in other sectors how you can do it. So these pharmaceutical and vaccine industries that we want to bring in the continent, we will need also our private sector in Africa to contribute.
Dr. Bata, my wife is a medical doctor, and just on Friday I met with the ambassador of the Czech Republic to Nigeria, and we're just discussing what you said now about pharmaceuticals to see how she and her business can diversify into that. But you hit the nail, it's interesting. You're saying that the internet and the digital capability of infrastructure in Africa will improve. It's a question of how prepared are we to take advantage of that. We'll come back to that very soon. Mr. President, back to you. I know we are running short of time, but back to you. We've had 3 industrial revolutions, the first, second, third, and now the fourth, which is called the digital revolution. My question is, how do we position Africa to make sure that we do not miss out on the digital and technological revolution we see around us? And how do we leverage this to improve poverty reduction, social improvement in social welfare, and increase in the productivity and prosperity in Africa?
We have understood for quite some time now how important these revolutions are. And we are witnessing the 4th industrial revolution, which everyone in the world talks about and talks about the benefits of it. Yeah, most of these things that have already been discussed and eloquently expressed by the previous colleagues, speakers who have just spoken. How do we make sure that they help us achieve, because the 4th industrial revolution cuts across sectors. Therefore, so how can we leverage it? I think Maktar has also talked about that, and earlier, Madam Ngozi. So how, and we are talking about our young people, the youth, we are talking about connecting our countries, and be it the free trade area we have created, and then the finding ways we can make it productive for us and more meaningful, whether it is small industries, medium, big scale, or whether it is the movement of people, reducing on that, using more digital, whether it is in the process of accountability, whether it is in the process of governance, or, name it. And we have learned from this pandemic, when every aspect of life almost came to a halt, we were saved where things were saved by the application of the tools created by this 4th industrial revolution. There's no question about it. There is no home, there is no office, there is no country that did not actually benefit from this where it was applied, because that's what we were left with when everything else came to a halt, when there were lockdowns, when there were all kinds of things. So we have already tested the benefits to a great magnitude. And therefore, all we need to do is, we don't need even much preaching because we have already experienced it. We just need to do the practical things in terms of investments, in terms
This is the network service of the NTA. We now join our outside broadcast crew for a live telecast. Please stay tuned.
I do understand that the government Good afternoon, distinguished members of the press, MPC members, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you to the communique number 136 of the Monetary Policy Committee meeting that held between yesterday and this afternoon. Monetary Policy Committee met on the 24th and the 25th of May 2021 as the global economy gradually emerges from the 6-quarter-long COVID-19 pandemic with lingering uncertainties. The recovery is on account of widespread vaccinations, easing of restrictions, reopening of economies, and gradual return to international travels. India and Brazil, however, continue to battle high levels of infections and fatalities resulting from mutating strains of the virus. In the domestic environment, the economy is expected to remain on current trajectory of recovery in 2021, mirroring the cautious optimistic trend in global output recovery. The committee reviewed the developments in the global and domestic economic and financial environments in the second quarter of 2021 and the outlook for the rest of the year. 10 members of the MPC were present at this meeting. Fatalities are compared with developed economies with better access to vaccines. Other emerging market economies, accordingly, the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, revised global output growth for 2021 to 6%. This represents an upward revision of 0.5% points compared with the earlier projection of 5.5%. The projection is, however, dependent on the efficient deployment of COVID-19 vaccines and sustained policy support across economies to strengthen the recovery of global output growth. Prices, however, are expected to rise globally due to the massive monetary and fiscal injections in several countries to mitigate the impact of the pandemic in several countries. The MPC noted the gradual recovery of prices, especially amongst some developed advanced economies, as inflation continued a steady movement towards the long-run objective of their central banks. It is expected that inflation may breach the long-term objective of several central banks in the medium term as economic activities continue to recover as more people are vaccinated. In several emerging market and developing economies, however, inflation has remained relatively high, with some economies confronted with significantly higher inflationary pressures than others because of legacy structural issues, capital flow reversals, and unabating exchange rate pressures. The prevailing conditions in the global financial markets remain relatively stable as central banks sustain monetary accommodation. There are, however, growing indications that monetary policy normalization may commence amongst some key central banks by the fourth quarter of 2021. The timing and pace of this normalization must, however, be carefully managed to mitigate the risk of a financial crisis post-pandemic. Domestic developments. Available output data from the National Bureau of Statistics, the NBS, showed that real gross domestic product, the GDP, grew by 0.51% during the first quarter of 2021, compared with 0.11% and minus 3.62% during the fourth quarter and third quarter of 2020, respectively. Real GDP was driven largely by the non-oil sector, which grew by 0.79% during the first quarter of 2021, compared with 1.69% and minus 2.51% during the fourth quarter of 2020 and third quarter 2020, respectively. The major drivers of the non-oil GDP were agriculture and industry, with sectoral growth rates of 2.28 and 3.05% respectively during the first quarter of 2021. Whereas agric declined by 1.14 percentage points from 3.42% during the fourth quarter of 2020, industry, supported by growth in manufacturing and construction, grew by 3.3 percentage points from minus 0.25% during the fourth quarter of 2020. The sectoral contribution of services to GDP, however, contracted from 1.31% during the fourth quarter of 2020 to minus 0.39% during the first quarter of 2021. The oil sector contracted further by minus 2.21% during the first quarter of 2021 from minus 19.76 and minus 13.89% recorded during the fourth quarter of 2020 and third quarter of 2020 respectively. The weak performance in the oil sector is largely attributable to the decline in production in compliance with the OPEC Plus production cut agreement. The committee noted the marginal growth in the Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index to 49.0 index points in April 2021 from 48.8 index points in March 2021. This increase is a lead indicator of recovery of output growth following the easing of restrictions to curtail the spread of the pandemic. The non-manufacturing PMI, however, declined marginally to 47.3 index points in April 2021, compared with 47.9 index points in March 2021. The employment level component of the manufacturing and non-manufacturing PMIs rose moderately in April 2021 to 46.5 and 48.2 index points from 45.9 and 47.7 index points in March, respectively. Committee noted the moderate decline in headline inflation year-on-year to 18.12% in April 2021 from 18.17% in March 2021, following 19 consecutive months of continuous rise. The decrease was driven by a marginal slowdown in food inflation to 22.72% in April 2021 from 22.95% in the previous month. This was partly attributed to the bank's massive interventions in various sectors of the economy to stimulate aggregate demand and boost production, particularly for small and medium enterprises. The MPC, however, noted that headline inflation remained well above the ceiling of the bank's 6 to 9% inflation target corridor as a result of a combination of factors, including the heightened security tensions in the country and deteriorating public infrastructure. As a result, the bank expressed its support to the federal government's commitment to tackle insecurity, as this will improve the business environment and encourage economic activities to rein in inflation. MPC was also mindful of the impact of exchange rate pressures resulting from capital flow reversals associated with COVID-19 shock as investors sought for safe havens. It, however, applauded extant measures by the bank in ensuring both liquidity and stability in the foreign exchange market, as well as moderating the exchange rate pass-through to inflation. On the performance of the monetary aggregate, committee noted that broad money supply, M3, grew by 1.15% in April 2021, compared with 0.04% in March 2021. This development was largely driven by growth in the net domestic assets, NDA, while net foreign assets, NFA, contracted. The growth in net domestic assets reflects the growth in aggregate credit supported by the ongoing broad-based monetary and fiscal stimulus. Accordingly, gross banking sector credit at the end of March 2021 stood at 23.53 trillion compared to 22.86 trillion at the end of December 2020. This represents an increase of 0.85 trillion year to date, of which commercial and merchant banks disbursed 0.66 trillion, microfinance 0.13 trillion, development finance intervention 0.05 trillion, and primarily mortgage banks and finance companies 0.01 trillion naira. The liquidity condition in the banking system in the review period was determined by several factors, including fiscal disbursements and withdrawals by states and local governments, periodic CRR debits, foreign exchange interventions, open market operations, and maturing CBN bills, the net effect of which imposed liquidity constraints on the banking system. Accordingly, the monthly weighted average interbank call and open buyback rate, OBB rates, rose to 15.26% and 14.58% in April 2021, from 1.8 and 1.5 in March 2021, respectively. The committee noted the moderate decline in the equities market year to date, as the all-share index decreased by 1.97% to 38,287.58 on May 24, 2021, from 49,045.13 on March 30, 2021. Similarly, market capitalization decreased by 4.3% to 19.96 trillion on May 24, 2021, from 20.82 trillion in February 26, 2021. The MPC noted that the capital adequacy ratio and the liquidity ratios both remain above their prudential limits at 15.8 and 38.9%, respectively. The non-performing loans ratio NPLs at 5.89% in April 2021 showed progressive improvement compared with 6.6% in April 2020. The MPC, however, urged the bank to sustain its tight prudential regime to further reduce the level of non-performing loans in the industry. The committee noted the external reserves declined marginally to 34.17 billion as at May 21, 2021, from $34.29 billion as at the end of April 2021. This reflects sales to the foreign exchange market and third-party payments. Our outlook. The optimism for medium-term macroeconomic recovery in both the global and domestic economies is slow but steadily growing, even as some level of uncertainties are still present. This is due to the unabating COVID-19 pandemic in some countries, such as India and Brazil, caused by mutation of the virus into more fatal strains. In addition, the recovery is uneven and seems to be more likely to countries that have high vaccination rate than those less vaccinated or that are still suffering from the effects of the more fatal strains of COVID-19 disease. As conditions improve, however, central banks of the advanced economies are beginning to signal the possible shift in monetary conditions when normalization of monetary policy commences by the fourth quarter of 2021. Available data and forecasts for key macroeconomic variables for the Nigerian economy suggest that output growth will continue to recover for the rest of 2021. This is premised on the continued support for agriculture to improve food supply, rein in inflation, and improve employment. Others include efforts of both the monetary and fiscal authorities to improve infrastructure in the country. The forecast for the Nigerian economy for 2021 is thus strong. Domestic push to support recovery, particularly to ensure an end to insecurity in the country. Consequently, as the productive capacity of the economy improves and the supply chain fully restored, we expect inflationary pressure to begin to ease as the supply of goods and services offset demand. The committee's consideration. At this meeting, the MPC recognized that the twin problems confronting the Nigerian economy and that must be addressed relates to stagflation caused by rising inflation with output, in this case GDP, contracting at the same time. Committee further recognized that the strategy put in place to rein in inflation through the use of series of administrative measures by the bank to control money supply through liquidity mop-up in the banking system had started to yield results. It also recognized that measures put in place to stimulate output growth through the use of its intervention facilities to inject liquidity into employment-generating and output-stimulating initiatives like the Anchor Borrowers Program, Targeted Credit Facility, and ACME's Agri Small and Medium Enterprise Equity Investment Scheme had started to yield results. In the view of the MPC, although the economy had successfully exited the recession, the recovery was very, very fragile, given that the GDP of 0.151% was still far below population growth rate. Committee therefore was of the view that there is a strong need for the monetary authorities to consolidate on all administrative measures currently being taken, not only to rein in inflation, but also on the actions so far taken to spur output growth. According to the committee, such measures include boosting consumption and investments, as well as diversifying the base of the Nigerian economy through effects of forex restrictions for the importation of goods and food products that can be produced in Nigeria. It also urged the bank to continue to put in place measures that will boost export earnings in Nigeria. On the consumption and investment side, MPC noted that although the intervention facilities to Anchor Borrowers Program currently at 631.4 billion to 3.1 million smallholder farmers cultivating 3.8 million hectares of land, for the ACMEs, about 111.7 billion to 29,026 beneficiaries, for households under the targeted credit facilities, about 253.4 billion naira to 548,345 beneficiaries, comprised of 470,969 households and 77,376 SMEs, have helped in boosting output. Management should therefore aggressively increase its intervention in these sectors, including agricultural processing and manufacturing. Under the National Youth Investment Fund, 2.1 billion naira has been disbursed to 7,057 beneficiaries, of which 4,411 are individuals and 2,646 are SMEs. Under the Creative Industry Financing Initiative, the CBN has disbursed 3.19 billion naira and to disburse to 341 beneficiaries across movie production, movie distribution, music, and the software development sectors. Under the 1 trillion naira rail sector intervention, 856.3 billion has been disbursed to 233 real sector projects, of which 77 are in light manufacturing, 36 in agro-based industry, 30 in services, and 11 in mining. Under the 100 billion naira Healthcare Support Intervention Fund, 97.4 billion naira has been disbursed to 91 healthcare projects, out of which 26 are pharmaceuticals, 65 hospital services. Also, the sum of 232.5 million naira has been disbursed to 5 beneficiaries under the CBN's healthcare grant for research on COVID-19 and Lassa fever. Under the National Mass Metering Program, the CBN has disbursed 35.9 billion naira to 9 discos for the acquisition of 656,752 electricity meters. And under the National Nigerian Electricity Stabilization Facility, 2 NEMS, 93.8 billion naira has also been disbursed to 11 distribution companies. The committee members applauded government's efforts in combating the headwinds imposed by the pandemic and urged that going forward, government should avoid an entire nationwide lockdown like was experienced in 2020, as this will reverse the wholesome gains jointly achieved between the government and the central bank since the outbreak of this pandemic. The MPC carefully assessed the options on direction of policy in the short to medium term. It reappraised current measures by the government to purchase COVID-19 vaccines and the general preparedness of relevant public health agencies to guard against the spread of the mutating strains of the virus. To this end, the committee noted the appropriate steps taken by the government to ensure that up to 70% of the populace get vaccinated to drastically drive down the infection rate in the country and hence sustain economic activities. Committee noted the persisting security crisis, especially in major food-producing regions of the country, and the severe toll on food supply and prices. It noted that inflation had moderated marginally due to the unrelenting efforts of the bank in supporting agriculture to boost food supply. The committee thus reiterated its call to the government to intensify various efforts towards addressing the security situation in the country to ease supply bottlenecks and bring down food prices. The MPC further noted government's commitment towards investing in public infrastructure despite constrained fiscal position and urged a continued focus on this objective while exploring the option of effective partnership with the private sector as improved road networks, telecommunications, and power supply will greatly and positively impact the supply chain and moderate price developments in the country. It further noted the need for collaboration with Nigeria's huge diaspora through the issue of diaspora bonds targeted at specific infrastructure projects. Even as the committee noted that the public debt stock was currently high, it was of the view that project-specific diaspora bonds issues could conveniently pay itself back without imposing a burden on government finances. It noted the complementary role this would play in boosting foreign exchange supply, a creation to reserves, and easing of the current exchange rate pressure. Committee noted that the equities market remained in a comfortable place, an indication of investors' confidence in the stability of the Nigerian economy in the medium term. The MPC thus urged the bank to maintain its collaboration with the fiscal authority to improve investment climate towards attracting sustainable foreign direct investment. With the developments in the banking system, committee applauded the efforts of management in ensuring a reasonably low level and steadily reducing rate of non-performing loans, even as aggregate credit continued to expand through this crisis period. While non-performing loans remain marginally above the bank's regulatory threshold, members noted that it was at a reasonable level considering the current state of macroeconomic imbalances occasioned by the pandemic. Committee's decision. The recent developments in the domestic economy presented two broad options to the NPC, which were to either aggressively address the high inflationary pressure or continue to pursue measures aimed at supporting this recovery. Whereas the committee remained overwhelmingly committed to supporting the efforts of the federal government in ensuring full restoration of the productive capacity of the Nigerian economy, members remained focused towards achieving price stability in the short to medium term. The MPC noted that economic growth in an environment of unstable prices. To this end, the choice therefore was between loosening the stance of policy to ease credit further or tighten to moderate price development or maintain a hold stance in order to allow previous policy measures to continue to permeate the economy while observing global and domestic developments. The committee noted that an expansionary stance of policy could transmit to reduced pricing of the loan portfolios of deposit money banks and result, therefore, in cheaper credit to the real sector of the economy. On the converse, this expected transmission may be constrained by security challenges and infrastructural deficits. On the other hand, while a contractionary stance will only address the monetary component of price development, supply-side constraints such as the security crisis and infrastructural deficits can only be addressed by policies outside the purview of the central bank. A tight stance, in the view of members of the MPC, will also hamper the bank's objectives of providing low-cost credit to households, to micro, small, and medium enterprises, to the agricultural and other output growth and employment-stimulating sectors of the Nigerian economy. Based on the above considerations, the MPC made the decision to hold all policy parameters constant. Committee thus decided by a unanimous vote to retain the monetary policy rate at 11.5%. In summary, MPC voted as follows: 1, retain MPR at 11.5%, 2, retain asymmetric corridor at plus 100 and minus 700 basis points around the MPR, 3, retain the CRR at 27.5, and 4, retain liquidity ratio at 30%. Thank you most sincerely for your attention.
Thank you, Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. And that is the communique number 136 of the meeting of the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria, delivered by the chairman of the MPC and the governor of the CBN, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, CON. Now, we'll take some questions. We'll take some questions, and as usual, a number of the correspondents sending questions from their bases. As we, due to COVID-19, we wouldn't be able to accommodate all of them. Now, for those ones here, you tell us your name, the media house you represent, and your question, but please keep it simple. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Good afternoon, Governor, and all protocols observed. I am Nancy Naji, the executive producer of Moneyline with Nigerian AIT. Governor, you alluded to the positive, though fragile, movements we saw quarter-on-quarter GDP from 0.11% in Q4 to 0.51% in Q1. A surprise to many that had forecast a negative GDP in 2021. What are your views, really, on this Q1 GDP data? Because we saw that some sectors were still lagging. The second question is, what actions will you undertake to ensure that these indices remain positive? Because it's fragile, so there is, if we are not really careful, we may actually also fall into a negative position. So what is the MPC, or what did you discuss at the meeting to make that these indices remain positive going forward, since you are pro-growth? The third question is the rate of inflation, which you've talked about, in fact, stagflation, and all through your communique, you're talking about insecurity. So I really want to know what your wholesome views are concerning insecurity in the country. Thank you, Governor.
Good afternoon, Governor, and all protocols also duly observed. My name is Leah Katin-Babachinde from the Nigerian Television Authority. Since we're still talking pro-growth, last year, February to be precise, Governor, you announced some numbers of stimulus for small businesses and households impacted by COVID-19 and also granted a form of forbearance. Now, this year, you also announced a 5% rate on CBN interventions to continue all through March 2022. But then, your pro-growth and small businesses mostly are complaining that loans given to them through the banks, they are demanding much higher lending rates. Can you speak to us on some directives given to the banks on this issue? And also last week, the global economy witnessed a lot of ripples from the cryptocurrency market, and you in particular announced some policy decisions some weeks back. So some people praised the CBN for announcing those decisions, and of course dealers of the banks, using the banks and payment infrastructure to conduct their businesses. You came up with some issues that have got a lot of people talking. Can you confirm if your stand has actually protected the market? Thank you.
Good afternoon, Governor, and your team. My name is Chinemerem Joseph. I work for Arise News. Still talking about pro-growth, Governor. I'm sure you feel very elated knowing that the GDP growth for the first quarter of 2021, agriculture was a part of it. So what would you be doing differently really to drive some of the bank's intervention, and how do you hope to convince people who know that these interventions are not free money, they are loans? How would you be convincing them to pay back or come and access these loans? And secondly, Governor, it's been observed that the official exchange rate has not been updated daily on the bank's website. And we know that some people have linked this to pressure on Forex. You alluded to it when you were speaking, but it's certainly a matter of concern right now. What is the Apex Bank's position on the exchange rate? That's one. And secondly, kindly speak to the availability of Forex.
Good afternoon, Mr. Governor. All protocols duly observed. My name is Rahama Saidu. I work for Radio Nigeria. Still talking about loans, you were quoted in some media reports as restating the bank's resolve to recover the loans extended to state governments as budget support facilities. Please, I'd like to know if you have commenced the process or if the bank has decided to pedal a bit and give them some time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Governor. My name is James Imejo. I work for This Day. My question centers around the CBN's Naira for dollar policy. This policy ought to have come to an end by 8th of May, but it has now been elongated indefinitely. Could you assess it and tell us what impact it has had? Thank you, sir.
Okay, Governor, some of these questions, like I said, we are sent by first person here is Collins Well, All the Nation newspaper. And his question is, following recent development in the cryptocurrency space, do you feel somewhat professionally vindicated, given that the narrative had been that the CBN was anti-Nigerian youths? And he also sent this other question. We are in Ekiti State recently, where you faulted claims of imbalance in the bank's intervention schemes. You may want to throw more light on that, especially given the issues raised from the South-South geopolitical zone. The next question, Governor, is coming from Abdul Wahab Isa of the New Telegraph. And he says, The NBS in April released inflation figures of 18.12%, showing a first decline in almost 2 years. This was followed by an output figure of 0.51%. Are you satisfied with the performance given the level of intervention which the bank has put in place? And finally, sir, from Sunday Michael of Daily Trust newspaper. Mr. Governor, the CBN is adopting various measures that have helped to stimulate output, such as credit to SMEs through ADP, targeted credit facility, and the actions. Now that the CBN is attaining the threshold, what does CBN intend to do? Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you very much. Well, the first question by AIT Nancy talked about the fact that, well, that we're happy that we've exited recession. Inflation sort of has begun to, it has hit its plateau, and we are beginning to see a situation where inflation will begin to trend downwards. And at the same time that GDP is growing, though remains very fragile, but that some people still express surprise about it, and then asking for our views by saying what are our views and what are we going to continue to do to ensure that these indices remain strong going forward. I think it's important to say this, that for us at the Central Bank of Nigeria, we are not surprised. We are not surprised because, if you recall, Nigeria is just one country that is peculiar for what is, I call a situation that is out of the ordinary. Out of the ordinary because you find Nigeria amongst several countries being one country that is challenged by stagflation. Stagflation is a situation where inflation is running high, prices are running high, and at the same time, output growth, in this case the GDP, is contracting. And if you understand how this works, you will find that as Monetary Policy Committee, your core responsibility is to rein in inflation by ensuring that you keep supreme your price and monetary stability mandate. On the other hand, and to do so means that you have to tighten to be able to rein in inflation. On the other hand, government is confronted, or the economy is confronted by a contracting output where growth is negative. And the normal way in economics you would want to really recover from a contracting economy is to stimulate the economy with a lot of easing and injecting liquidity into the system to stimulate consumption and investments, increase government expenditure, right? Increase export earnings, and possibly see what you can do to reduce your imports. That is basically the definition of output growth. Y equals C plus I plus G plus X and minus I. That is what you need to do, right? So you find that in doing this, you are seeing situations where the objectives or goals are moving in opposite direction. But what did we do? We said, at monetary policy, particularly at the last meeting, we said, we will try as much as possible to be pro-growth so as to continue to see what can be done to accelerate output, but at the same time, we are going to keep our eye on whatever can be done to rein in inflation. And in doing this, what did we say? Monetary policy came up at that meeting, last meeting, and said, the penultimate meeting, we said we are going to adopt a systematic synchronization of monetary policy variables, right, that will help to rein in inflation, but at the same time boost output. At the last meeting, we also said we will go ahead to look at monetary policy and encourage the management to say, that we should adopt some form of administrative measures to mop up liquidity or to control money supply in the system, and in the process, rein in inflation by reducing the money supply. That would help to control inflation, while at the same time, because what you will find is when you rein in inflation by mopping liquidity is that it becomes constraining. But at the same time, on the output side, what should we be doing? Let us use our development finance tools to boost output by ensuring that liquidity and funding is made available at concessionary rates to employment-generating and output-stimulating sectors of the economy. So you are looking at how do you titrate these variables in a way that you are able to rein in inflation, but at the same time, you also grow output. So that's what we have done. And that is the reason we're saying it's not a surprise to us, but those who do not understand it will say, oh, how is this happening? I've heard a couple of people, some say, oh, they expected the output to be negative. I had heard some comments by somebody from LCCI, Lagos Chamber of Commerce, saying, oh, what is happening? That manufacturing has not seen enough impetus to begin to say that, that the output growth should be positive. But let me give you some numbers. Like I read at the communique. When the pandemic struck effectively, we said all CBN intervention facilities will now go at 5%. And what we did is also expand that in 2021 into March 2022. We asked banks to restructure some of the facilities of companies and businesses that may not be able, that have been impacted adversely by the pandemic. We provided stimulus by saying that we're putting in place, at that time, we initially started 100 billion for targeted first credit facility, increased it to 150 billion. At the last meeting, it was increased to 300 billion because we saw the positive effect this was having on consumption expenditure, right? We also went forward to say that for the health sector, we'll make available stimulus of about 100 billion for some of our pharmaceutical industries that have gone moribund to come back alive, or even expand some of the plans of the existing ones. Or our hospitals to see what can be done to retool our hospitals so they can provide health facilities. These are all stimulus that are meant to stimulate consumption expenditure and also investments. Don't forget the formula for GDP, consumption and investment. If we inject liquidity in that direction, normally what will happen on the result side is that output will grow. Okay? We understand government constraints, but at the same time, we're doing everything as well to see what can we do to ensure that goods that can be produced in the country are produced so as to constrain imports and make it difficult for people who want to source forex to bring those things. So those are the things that will naturally result in this. So it is science. For us, it is science to expect that what happened or what is happening now is happening or has happened. On the manufacturing and agri sector, where Lagos Chamber of Commerce, Amuda was talking about, we made available 1 trillion naira. Out of the 1 trillion naira, we've disbursed so far 856 billion naira to 77 light manufacturing, 36 in agro-based industries, and 30 in services, and 11 in mining. These are targeted interventions to support, like we said, employment, stimulating, and output-generating sectors of the economy at intervention rate of 5%, because these were funds that came in through the CBN DCRR facility. So it's not surprising that we're seeing what we're seeing now. So, but what monetary policy decided we should be doing today is to say, hey, how should we proceed? What are those indicators that led to us having this kind of results? And that is why monetary policy said, hey, let's hold, look at those items, inflation, continue your administrative measures. On the output side, continue to use your interventions at subsidized interest rates to do agriculture, to manufacturing, to the targeted credit facilities, to make sure that we're able to stimulate consumption and investment that will ultimately yield a positive result in growth for the economy. Indeed, out of the targeted credit facility that we have, almost the whole of 300 billion has now been disbursed, and we're expecting, the Monetary Policy Committee has encouraged the management to increase it even to 400. So what does that also mean? More money is going to be made available to households, to small businesses, for them to go back to business, which will ultimately yield employment and also grow our economy. So for us, it is not science. So when people begin to say they doubt what numbers NBS is releasing, I think they are speaking from a position of being uninformed about what is happening in the Nigerian economy. I've always often said it, that the CBN possesses the data, and we have data. As we have the data, we'll read the data to Nigerians for Nigerians to see what we're doing. So what we do expect is that people or policy analysts should ask or demand for data on the basis of which they come up with their conclusions, and not for them to making disparaging comments that tends to create problems for the managers of the economy. The second question had to do with security challenges and the economy. Naturally, there is interconnectivity between security and economy. For an economy to grow, or if you expect an economy to grow, the level of insecurity must be low. Because if there's high level of insecurity that results in the kind of situation we're seeing today, then the economy will suffer, even in the midst of all the efforts we're putting in place to resolve the problem. So, but I had heard last week after the National Security Council meeting, the Chief of Defense Staff had come up to say, and to assure us that everything is being done. He talked about the fact that the military has made some successful inroads into the north central part of the country. Indeed, I was reading a newspaper yesterday where even the people from Niger State and the governor were saying they have seen some improvements in level of security in the state, which tends to confirm what the Chief of Defense Staff talked about. And he also talked about the fact that in the northwest part of the country, that efforts have been made as well to correct some of the security challenges in those areas. Yes, they have not fully completed that assignment, but at least we've seen that they are making some progress. He also alluded to the fact that efforts will now be targeted at the southeastern part of the country and the southwestern part of the country, or in the northeastern part. So I am optimistic that the security institutions are doing their best to tackle insecurity. And I must say this, Nigerians know that about 3 years ago, the federal government of Nigeria and the United States government signed a pact that resulted in a government-to-government acquisition of military equipment, out of which we're expecting at least 12 Tucano aircraft or fighter planes that will help us combat security. LCs were opened to the Central Bank of Nigeria and funds were remitted to the United States government. I'm aware that at least 6 of those Tucano aircrafts are going to be coming in the months of July and August. And I therefore would like to appeal to our brothers who decide that they want to live in the bushes and forests, that they should please begin to retreat, drop their arms, and come and embrace Uncle Bora's program. If they do so, it will help them. But if they choose not to do so, then they will be confronted by security as this battle continues. So I'm optimistic that before the end of the year, around the end of the year, the security challenges that confront the country will substantially abate. The third question talked about NTA, that in February the CBN announced a number of stimulus to SMEs and that yes, we've announced 5% extension. We said, like I read earlier about the various interventions that we had put in place. And we said, for us, our 5% for CBN intervention facilities, we extend it to next year. The banks are asking for their loans to be paid back. And in any case, the banks, I must admit, are seeing that there's some improvement in the economy, fragile as it may be. There's some improvement. Crude prices have gone up. So business activities are beginning to regain energy again and life. So if the banks ask for the repayment of their facilities, I think it will be justified. You raise the issue of interest rates, that the banks are charging higher rates. If we admit as CBN that we are controlling money supply. If we control money supply and the banks raise interest rates in what I can call non-employment generating sectors or non-output generating sectors of the economy, we can't fault them because we have our own intervention facilities, right, that are meant to target agriculture and all those SMEs and targeted households, which are meant to stimulate employment and also stimulate output for the country, and we can always make those facilities available at maximum 9% interest rate. So we know what we're doing. So, but if you are going into the kind of ventures that are finished goods, you want to think that what you want to do is to just import anything and everything out of the country into the country, then you pay the price. That is all I can say. The fourth question about issue of cryptocurrency and all that. No, I mean, it's not about CBN being vindicated and all that. See, we have carried out our own investigation, and we found out that a substantial percentage of what our people are getting involved in cryptocurrency, that it is not the best. Don't get me wrong. Some may be legitimate. But I'm standing and sitting before and say most are illegitimate. And I will corroborate that. Under cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, Nigeria comes second, right? But in the global size of the economy, Nigeria comes 27th. So do you think that there is some correlation? Why would you think those countries whose economies are between 2nd and 26th, they will allow you to grow your cryptocurrency business to 2nd position? Do you understand? If there was something, if what is inside it is a big deal that is going to profit everybody, it's not that simple. We are still conducting our data. We'll make our data available. But what I'm saying is, of course, we saw it, that the market collapsed. Elon Musk, when it came about, said, he tweeted initially sometime about the time we said our banking and payment infrastructure will no longer be available for cryptocurrency transactions. He tweeted he was going to invest, is it 1.5 or $50 billion in crypto? $1.5 billion in crypto, and the rate went to the highest roof. And he now tweeted again and raised a few concerns, and the thing plunged. Elon Musk himself has decided that he will no longer deal in cryptos. So, if the man who felt it was good suddenly decides to say it's no longer good, and then you, that you think you are dealing in... So I was conferred at National Assembly by somebody who said, Central Bank Governor, I deal in $50 million in crypto per week. I said, $50 million per week? Where did the dollar come to? Through which bank did the dollar or $50 million per week flow through? And he was looking at me because those dollars did not come into the Nigerian economy. If it doesn't come to the Nigerian economy, I have no reason to believe that it's a legitimate business. Otherwise, if you feel it is money that is legit, $50 million per week, you sit in your house and use computer to do whatever you are doing, and you say you transfer $50 million per week, bring it, let the world see it, so that we can really support you in this transaction. But don't forget, those who invented crypto said it is encrypted. When they say it is encrypted, it means that whatever is happening between me and you is only known to the two of us. And you know what? In case I defraud you, because it's encrypted, you can't even disclose my name. You can't even get your money back. That is not what a responsible central bank will support. I've heard about digital currency. We are working on it. We have set up our committee on CBN, and I can assure everybody that digital currency will come to life even in Nigeria. Now, that recently the exchange rate on our website here, that We did a somersault. We didn't do a somersault. We know what we're doing. We found out that we were no longer dealing in this so-called CBN official rate. All transactions are benchmarked against the NFX. I had read in some places where some said, oh, it's because we had depreciated the currency or stuff and all that. And I came out and said, we did not depreciate the currency. The market, Nigeria still operates a managed float regime where CBN will observe the market. As it deems fit, depending on its direction of where it thinks the market will be, will intervene in the market to control exchange rate in the market. That's what we're doing. So if you now see again that CBN has written where it was CBN official rate at 380, it has now become NFX. That NFX that you see today of 410, tomorrow may be 409, the next day may be 411, the third day may be 412, and the next day comes to even 400 because we are monitoring the market. So it is not fixed, but it's not floating, so that you don't misunderstand that I said it's floating. We are still running a managed float where we are monitoring the market and seeing what is happening for us to ensure that the right things are happening for the good of the Nigerian economy. Somebody talking availability of Forex? Gentlemen, $34 billion or $35 billion can support almost close to about 9-10 months of Nigeria's imports and goods or services. I don't know why anybody would worry, and I can only just assure you that we're doing everything to ensure that the Central Bank of Nigeria is able to fund all legitimate domestic import obligations of people who need foreign exchange. And we are not going to shirk our responsibility in this area. Radio Nigeria said that I was quoted by the media as on this issue of state government, they're going to pay their loans. You know, there are two things, like I said, two aspects to this. There are intervention facilities granted by the bank, and there are bilateral facilities granted by the deposit money banks to them. They went to deposit money banks. They asked for loan. They signed the offer letters with those banks. They gave the ISPUs to the Federal Minister of Finance that on a monthly basis, Minister of Finance should deduct from their monies and pay the banks for the loan they have taken. And I am aware that the banks have written to finance and they have copied me that they want their money. If it was a bilateral loan agreement, in fact, there's privacy of contract here. I'm not part of it, so they should pay their loans. On the CBN intervention facility to the state governments, we're engaging National Economic Council. And CBN is also insisting on his loan to be paid. But depending on the outcome of engagement between Central Bank, Finance, and National Economic Council, we will begin to take the monies. But in any case, it's good for you to be a good debtor. When you take a loan, you pay. So that when you go back to the bank, you can get. But if you refuse to pay, you will never smell the doorstep of the banker again. Now, the Naira for Dollar scheme, yes, we extended it indefinitely. Why? Because we feel that we need to encourage diaspora remittance into Nigeria. Don't forget, I keep saying that I have been reading that the size of diaspora remittance to Nigeria is almost 24 billion, or some say 30 billion. But in the past, I've not seen it. But I'm trying to see how I can see it. And the only way I can see it is that I should encourage those who think they want to hide to bring it out. So that is like an incentive, like a promo. And we decided we're going to do the promo so it can continue, so we can continue to see the flows coming in. And we're hoping, and we have seen the trend that it is rising. Listen, we did this because we feel other countries are doing those kind of incentives. Pakistan, Bangladesh, on a monthly basis, they collect close to $2 billion from diaspora remittances, and they have similar kind of incentives that they put for their citizens in diaspora to inflow monies. And so nothing is wrong with that, and we will continue to do whatever needs to be done to encourage diaspora remittance, because it's one of the 4 areas through which we can encourage flows into the country for us to meet our obligations. Okay, I responded on cryptocurrency. Ekiti State, Oh yeah, we were in Ekiti State, and I was responding to the accusation that our support is tilted to a particular section of the country, and I debunked it because, like I said, almost about 600 billion or so or more had been disbursed to various interventions of the Central Bank of Nigeria, and out of that, at least 300 billion, and we gave data that 300 billion has been disbursed to the southern part of the country. Yes, we've been to Niger, we've been to Kebbi, we've been to Gombe, we've been to Katsina to launch our pyramids and the 2021 planting season. We were at Ekiti last week. Sometime this week, I will also be even in River State to launch one of our agricultural plants, which is one of the biggest starch processing plants in Nigeria. And what does that mean? That instead of multinationals like Nestle coming to central bank to say that they need foreign exchange to import starch, or to import starch and maybe sorbitol and the rest of them, that this company in Port Harcourt or somewhere in Bayelsa in different parts of the country can also process cassava into starch, which the likes of Nestle can buy. And so that will help us to reduce the import drive for people to begin to say they want to import starch or sorbitol into the country. So it is for, I use the word, our own selfish purpose that we are doing that, because we want to see to how we can produce and consume what we produce in Nigeria rather than importing them, when we know that we can create employment and boost output with those. Daily Trust, I see Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, the released inflation numbers. I've responded to that. Talked about the CBN is adopting various measures that have helped to stimulate output, such as credit to SMEs, direct credit facility. How now that CBN is attaining the threshold, what does CBN intend to do? Yeah, as long as we find that what we are doing is yielding results, particularly boosting consumption, expenditure, and investment, we will continue to do so. And that is the reason monetary policy has given us the mandate to say, look, instead of plateauing at 300 billion, move further to 400 billion and support our households and SMEs for them to really begin to do business. Somebody wants a loan of 500,000 naira and he goes to the bank, can't get the loan. We'll make this available for them. And we have received positive testimonials about how this has helped and impacted positively on lives. In fact, we're going to begin to run a TV documentary to show those who have benefited from it and how it is helping them to create jobs for them and also create jobs for other people. So we'll continue to do any of these things because we believe that it will help our economy to grow and everybody will be happy and jobs will be created and the level of insecurity can reduce. I thank you most sincerely for your attention. We'll see you again in 8 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor. With that, we've come to the end of this press briefing. Only to say, let's keeping safe. Wear your mask, wash and sanitize your hands, and maintain physical distancing. And if you can get the vaccine, please take a jab. Some of us have done so, and we are leaving. Thank you so very much, Governor, and thank you for your kind attention.
This is the network service of the NTA. missed me. Of course, I know you missed me. Welcome to another exciting episode of Entertainment Gist, showing right here on Nigerian Television Authority. My name is Simeon Sunday, you already know, and I'm here to take you around the world of entertainment. So many things have actually happened in the world of entertainment in a couple of days and weeks. But today we're talking about a few of them. And talking about a few of them, Nigerians are not excited about this particular news I am about to break to you right here. You know, back in February, it was announced that the legendary Afrobeat icon Fela Anikulapo Kuti was to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And we were excited that finally a Nigerian will be inducted, and Fela will be the first Nigerian to be inducted. And the voting started, and a few months down the line, the results are out, and our Fela Anikulapo Kuti did not make the cut. Rather, Tina Turner was the first person, okay? And Fela came in as the first runner-up. A lot of people were expecting that Fela will still be inducted despite coming second behind Tina Turner, but it turned out that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame decided to induct Tina Turner instead. Aside Tina Turner being inducted, the likes of Jay-Z was also inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, as well as Foo Fighters and a couple other, artists. But we're not happy about this. But whatever it is, whether Fela was inducted or not, he's still the legendary icon we know and we love around the world. And away from Fela's story, okay, let's move on to another story. This one is quite exciting and is good news for Nigerian movie lovers, as the movie Elevator Baby, directed and produced by Niyi Akimolaya, now has a Bollywood remake. And I'm excited about this one. I saw the trailer of this movie and I was shocked, like a Nigerian movie can be remade in India. And this is great news. Niyi himself made the announcement via his social media page, announcing that he got a call from an Indian producer and director who told him that they love the storyline and they want to have a Bollywood version of the movie. And finally, it is out, so you can check it out. It is titled Thank You, Brother.
Sorry. ఏంటిది అయినా లిఫ్ట్ లో వాటర్ తాగడం ఏంటి? కామన్ సెన్స్ ఉండక్కర్లేదా? కామన్ సెన్సా? పొరపాటున కొన్ని నీళ్లు పడితే ఇంతలా ఇదైపోతున్నావు. ఇగో ఇలా ఉండబట్టే చైనాలో పుట్టిన వైరస్ మన దగ్గర ఇంతలా స్ప్రెడ్ అవుతుందంటే మీలాంటి వాళ్ళే కారణం. ఏమవుతుందో ఏంటో.
So congratulations to all the cast and crew of Elevator Baby. And now before we go on a quick break, still celebrating Fela Anikulapo Kuti, now let's go way back to when Paul McCartney decided to do his own version of a Fela song. Enjoy it, and I'll be right back with all the juicy stories right here.
Yeah! Okay, so this is what I remember from the shrine, but the riff was definitely this. Must have gone something like that. Shaka a woman. Yeah, never know. Shaka a woman.
Okay, now let's talk about something else, still relating to Fela Anikulapo Kuti. Remember, Fela's Life and Time premiered on the Broadway, okay, with a musical touring around the US and the UK, and it was announced that an audio adaptation of that performance will be released to fans all over the world. And now I can tell you that the audio adaptation will be premiering this Saturday, and guess what? Genevieve Nnaji is one of the cast that will be on this audio adaptation, and guess what? Genevieve will be playing the role of Sewa, that is one of Fela's wives. I just can't wait to listen to this audio adaptation. I would like to hear, Genevieve play the role of Fela's wife, carrying the charisma of Fela's wife. You know, it's not an easy thing to be Fela's wife now, if you're a good student of history. So I'd like to see how Genevieve will handle this particular role. Now let's talk about two amazing characters that Nigerians loved back in the day, and they still love till this moment, and that is Aki and Popo. I know in a couple of years we haven't seen Aki and Popo, play roles together. Now you'll be excited about this particular story, as Aki and Popo is about to be remade. Finally, you can see your favorite actors play or reprise their role as Aki and Popo in a remake produced and directed by Play Network Studios. I don't know what it is with Charles Okpaleke for always wanting to remake movies that Nigerians loved. I'm trying to see the role or, the plot behind this new Aki and Popo that they are working on. I want to see if Charles Okpaleke will be taking it from the role of Aki and Popo as young stars, or now, we know they've grown now from what they used to be back in the day.
Two of you. I'm very, very hungry now. But the way things are going, so if they give to people now, I'm ready to job there. This thing has to be stopped. This thing has to stop. Since our mother refused to send us money, we must make money. It's like our mother has been sending money. And did you know that Papi has been eating all the whole money? Can't you even ask yourself, where is he getting the whole money that he's using to buy all this food and the pomo? We will use him and make money. I have a plan.
I'm so excited, and I hope you'll be excited, and we're waiting for this movie to hit the cinemas, because according to Play Network Studios, it might be hitting the big screen very soon, and that might be in 2021. And away from that, let us talk about Chief Daddy. I know when Chief Daddy hit the cinemas, a lot of Nigerians loved that movie. People were like, whoa, what an amazing and fantastic movie. So for those of you who love Chief Daddy 1, let me tell you that Chief Daddy 2 is already in the works. According to the producer and the director, it is already in the production stage, and very soon they'll be moving on to the post-production stage. So in the Chief Daddy 2, we'll see the likes of Beverly Naya, Eniedo, Rachel Oniga reprise their role, and also we'll be seeing new faces injected into the part 2 of Chief Daddy. Brother Shaggy will be doing his regular. All right, it's all right. I don't know how he does that, but it's really hilarious and really amazing. So for those of you who want to see it, don't worry, to be hitting the big screen very, very soon. And now it's time for us to check out the movie trailers for the week. When we come back, more stories coming your way. This is Entertainment Gist. Stay with us.
Well, we'll start from the very beginning at the office. We have a new member here. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Bayo Olaoluwa. My wife and I have been married for 12 years.
Stop. It reminds me that I may get pregnant. And my body may not be able to carry a baby.
Here, we share our burdens, our fears. We listen to each other.
My father used to say something. In his words, when you walk into your home, you don't just want to feel safe. You want to feel its welcoming warmth.
Surprise!
He's a great guy.
How long have you both been married?
It's been 10 years.
Is that not an awfully long time to be barren?
Wow. So what exactly do you do for work?
I'm actually job hunting, sir.
Hey. Take him out.
Hey, okay, take me as your son.
Or you think that makes you understand what it means to lose babies? 5 babies.
Yes, it does.
We need to find you a man. Time is ticking.
Daddy, here, you don't see they don't serve for papa. They see, you know they get you now.
Have mercy on me.
Today, it's husband. Tomorrow, it's a baby.
Jesus!
Yes, that was the movies for the week. I hope you hit the cinemas this week and check those movies out. And now let's talk about, move on to music this time. Okay, away from the movies, we've talked so much about that. You know, there have been rumors flying around recently that Davido stole the song Jowo from Victor A.D. We've been waiting for Davido to make a remark, but because we know Davido never to hide credits. If you write a song for Davido, he will always call your name, you know, crediting the song to you. But we never saw this coming. How come Davido stole a song from Victor A.D. and we never saw Victor A.D. as one of the persons credited, you know, for writing the song? So now Victor A.D. is out there telling people, please debunk those rumors, or it is false. Davido did not steal this song from me. And for even Davido's lawyers had to make, you know, an official statement debunking it, that we all know Davido as someone who never hides, you know, his credits. If you write a song for you or for him, he will always give you the credit. So if Victor A.D. did write that song, definitely he would have been credited as one of the writers of the song. So for those of you peddling this rumor, just kill it, because it is not true. And now let's talk about Drizzy. Yes, we all know Drake is smashing records worldwide. He has smashed another Billboard record, as he is to be announced as the artist of the decade on Billboard. And this is something that nobody has achieved aside Drake for a very long time. In case you don't know what artist of the decade means, it means in the past 10 years, no one has done it better than you. In other words, so Drake has been the most consistent artist for the past 10 years on Billboard. Aside being the artist of the decade on Billboard, he holds other titles like the Artist of the Year, the Hot 100 Artist, and so many titles. So congratulations to Drake. This is a well-deserved recognition. Away from Drake, now let's talk about a fast-rising talent in Nigeria by the name Victony. So Victony is a young man. His music is really amazing, but something drastic happened to him. He got involved in a fatal accident which involved 4 people, and then 1 person actually lost their life. And Victony was seriously injured in this accident. It got to the point that, you know, his managers had to crowdsource for funds to ensure he has a safe surgery. A GoFundMe account was opened in that regard, and Nigerians contributed, you know, to the account, ensuring that he gets prompt medical attention. And the good news about this is Victony has just had a surgery, and according to report, it was really successful. He's out of the ICU and he is recuperating at the moment. I'm super excited about this particular news because I got to know about Victony a few months back when a friend of mine played a song for me, and I listened to it and I was like, man, this guy is really great. We can't lose such fantastic artists in Nigeria. Anyway, take a listen to the song and get to know how good this guy is. He's a great artist, wonderful voice, wonderful guy, and I'm happy he's getting better. Now let's check out the new and trending music videos. Enjoy it. I'll be back.
Good evening, and thanks for joining us on Nationwide today. I'm Elizabeth Omori. Africa and the international community have a critical and urgent role to play in fostering a peaceful transition from military to civilian rule in the Democratic Republic of Chad within a set time of 18 months. President Muhammadu Buhari stated this on Tuesday at the opening of the extraordinary summit of heads of state and government of the Lake Chad Basin Commission, convened to discuss the recent developments in Chad after President Idris Deby died on the front line while defending the territorial integrity of his country. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
At the head of the Oval Table sat President Muhammadu Buhari as chair of leaders of the Lake Chad Basin Commission member countries and convener of the Extraordinary Summit. Prominently on the table is the development arising in the Republic of Chad, occasioned by the death of former leader Idris Deby.
There's the threat of further conflict.
President Muhammadu Buhari says the need to support the Chadian government by all to effectively carry out its planned 18-month transition is sacrosanct.
We have collectively shown that with commitment and with the desired support from the international community and our development partners, we can achieve success.
President Buhari says the death of President Deby had direct implications for the continued peace and stability of Chad as a nation, the Lake Chad region, and the wider Sahel region.
As chairman of the Summit of Heads of State and Government of the Lake Chad Basin Commission member countries, I want to assure you that I remain committed to providing the necessary leadership in liaison with partners towards finding sustainable solution to the challenges in Chad, in the Lake Chad region.
The president observes that the region is faced with several challenges that need the support and engagement of all to overcome, saying it is a collective duty and in honor of the memory of the men and women that have died in search of peace in the region. And at the request of President Muhammadu Buhari and in recognition of the immense and sterling contributions of the late president of Chad to peace and stability in the region, the summit observed a minute's silence for the departed leader. A purposeful, positive, and enthusiastic commitment of leaders can bring about change. And that's exactly what President Muhammadu Buhari is requiring from leaders of the region and the international community in support of the people of Chad. In Abuja, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
Federal government has condemned in strong terms the detention of the duo of interim President Baoundwa and Prime Minister Mokhtar Ouane of Mali. The two key officials in the transitional government of Mali were reportedly taken by soldiers to the Kati military camp near the capital, Bamako, on Monday, 24th of May. A press release by the spokesperson, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ferdinand Woye, states that the action is totally unacceptable and might derail the peace-building efforts and timetable for the return of democratic governance in Mali. Federal government calls for the immediate and unconditional release of the detained president and prime minister, as the key actors and perpetrators of the condemnable act should be aware of the fact that stakeholders in the region and friends of Mali reject any act of coercion of the detained officials, including forced resignations. The President of the Commission of the African Union and the President of the ECOWAS Commission have condemned the political situation in Mali following the detention of the interim President and Prime Minister by the military. The Presidents demand an immediate and unconditional release of the authorities guarded in the barracks and invite the Malian parties to favour the spirit of dialogue and responsibility for the region of the understandings around the establishments of the government. Former Governor of Lagos State and Chieftain of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has formally reacted to calls for self-determination in parts of the country, saying Nigeria is a nation that must be kept as one. Chief Tinubu made these views known while speaking on NTA News after an audience with President Muhammadu Buhari Monday evening.
We have already made our position clear that we want a one, united, peaceful, stable country, productive and promising. Nigeria is not just a rat village. It's a nation. I want to keep it as one.
The former Lagos State Governor, accompanied by the pioneer chairman of the governing APC, Chief Bisi Akonde, and other associates, were in the State House to commiserate with the President over the death of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atairo, and other 10 officers. He prayed the Almighty Allah to grant the President and the bereaved families the fortitude to bear the sad loss.
It's a national loss. It's demoralizing.
We want peace in Nigeria.
It's disheartening. It's sad. And to rub mind with him too, to see commitment to humanity.
This is Nationwide on NTA. Time now to join Hingino in Lagos for more reports. Hello, Hingino. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too, Lizzie. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu and his Ogun State counterpart Dapo Abiodun have signed a historic memorandum of understanding to establish Joint Development Commission to boost trade facilitation and infrastructural development in both states. Musa Toliat reports that the MOU was signed at a colorful event in Ogun State.
The Lagos-Ogun Joint Development Commission has the mandate to work out modalities on areas of cooperation in agriculture, particularly in rice production, waste management, water supply, and infrastructural development in both states. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu stressed that the two states are leveraging on areas of comparative advantages to meet the socio-economic needs of their citizens and create a conducive business environment to attract investments.
Regardless of the challenges, we are determined to build a more livable and stable city. Our goal is to build a sustainable urban city where both the residents of Lagos and Ogun have a sense of belonging. They embrace a participatory issues around governance, and they recognize their role as achieving a solid urban economic growth for the two states.
On his part, Governor Dapo Abiodun said the establishment of the Joint Development Commission stems from the mutual commitment to revive the defunct Lagos-Ogun Mega City project conceived in 2005 by former governors Bola Tinubu and Olusegun Oshoba administrations.
The official launch of this commission today will further initiate and accelerate more projects necessary to aid ease of movement of our people, goods and services, as well as increase industrialization along our border communities and ensure a wholesome development of our both states.
The Memorandum of Understanding to establish a joint commission between Lagos and Ogun states has been described as a game changer capable of addressing the socio-economic issues that will make life meaningful for citizens in both states. There were goodwill messages from traditional institutions, public and private sector players. In Lagos, Musa Toliat, NTA News.
Talking security now. As the fight against security challenges continues, the Nigerian Army is re-strategizing through retraining of its personnel and collaborating with other relevant authorities to ensure that the dream of the late Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru, in curbing insurgency in Nigeria is achieved. The latest is the Skills Development Leadership Training by the Nigerian Army School of Finance and Administration.
Considering the pivotal role of the military in tackling insecurity and other threats to the society, the need to synergize and come up with new trends to combat security challenges becomes imperative.
We must continue to strive.
The seminar, which had about 50 senior officers in attendance, is designed to equip participants with the right skills and enhance career progression to meet the expectations of the Nigerian Army in diverse areas.
The accomplishment of Nigerian Army goals and objectives, especially at this premium time, depends on the prompt and precise application of managerial capabilities as leaders. As we are all aware, the Nigerian Army constitutes an important component of the Nigerian society.
The consensus of speakers at the 16th edition is to remain resolute while consolidating on the achievements recorded so far.
This is expected to ensure the development of a deeper understanding of the role of junior and intermediate leaders in analyzing and resolving contemporary issues. It will also enhance your potentials, thus optimizing your technical and professional capabilities.
The theme of the 3-day leadership training is Leadership Excellence in the Digital Era. In Lagos, Lynn Lenake, NTA News.
It's now time for a break. Nationwide continues shortly.
My name is Boss Mustafa, the Secretary to the Government and the Chairman of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19. I've just had the rare privilege of taking my first dose of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, and I can tell you that we are doing very well in terms of our response and the administration of the vaccines all over the country. As strategic leaders, we are supposed to lead by example, and the President did precisely that on Saturday with the Vice President, and we are continuing in that particular direction. The essence of taking these vaccines is to help us really fight this COVID-19 virus, and the combination of the non-pharmaceutical measures and the vaccine is the way to go in 2021 and thereafter.
You can get more news and updates on www.nta.ng or follow us on our Twitter handle at NTA News Now. You can also like us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/NTA Network News. And also stay connected and subscribe to our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/NTA News Online.
Revision classes on television for students in secondary schools in English and mathematics will commence on the NTA. The revision classes will transmit Mondays to Fridays from 5 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. on the network service of the NTA. This is organized in preparation for the various national examinations and orders. This is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Education.
It's the dawn of a new era on NTA's flagship program, the Sports Parliament, revitalized with lots of varieties, including feedback responses from viewers. Sports Parliament, the weekly sports show that exposes all the intrigues in the Nigerian sports sector and projects an agenda on the way forward for Nigerian sports. On NTA every Thursday at 10:30 p.m. running for 1 whole hour discussing sports. The parliamentarians are more committed than ever to enlighten the viewers as the Sports Parliament takes it to a whole new level on the floor of the House. Keep a date with the Sports Parliament as motions are moved every Thursday on the floor of the House. Mr. Speaker, with his gavel to harmonize sports resolutions. The House have it.
Thanks for staying with the NTA. Now to electrification. Senate Committee on Power has given its backing to Nigerian Electricity Management Services Agency to insist on standardized electricity meters and other electricity installations in the country so as to enable their full benefits and prevent calamities in the future. Chairman of the committee, Gabriel Suswan, made this known during an oversight to NEMSA's office in Abuja. John Yako has details.
NEMSA is an agency established to carry out enforcement of technical standards and regulations through inspection, testing, certification, monitoring and evaluation of electrical installations in Nigeria. By this function, electricity installation manufactured or imported into the country are to be certified by the agency to protect Nigerian electricity consumers. These include electricity prepaid meters, which a number of them have been found to be substandard by the agency.
Somebody deployed 1,000 meters, for example, and the community wrote to us, those things. By the time we got there, the meters were not tested. All we said to them is that take all the 1,000 meters from Ondo to Lagos to the lab to test and replace those entire 1,000 with new meters that have been tested. It's better you inspect before they install. Yeah. Yes. If it doesn't meet specifications, don't allow it. Yes. Let them take it back.
There are so many people, even as we are trying, that are complaining that they are not getting what they are paying for.
Chairman, Senate Committee on Power, Gabriel Suswan, aligns with the issue of safety of Nigeria, noting that there is already a presidential initiative on local manufacture of meters in Nigeria through the CBN.
Potential manufacturers of meter are taking advantage of that funding in the CBN, and I think down the road, next 2 years, you have a lot of meter manufacturers here in this country.
The committee was also at the Abuja Inspectorate Field Office of NEMSA, where it decried the low level of manpower in the agency. In Abuja, John Yaku, NTA News.
To housing now, the federal government has rolled out a housing program to provide 300,000 houses for low-income earners across the 36 states to own houses, as well as to cushion COVID-19 effects under the National Housing Program. President, Cooperative Federation of Nigeria, Tajuddin Ayola, gave the assurance at an interactive session with cooperative societies in Lafia, Nasarawa State Capital, preparatory to the commencement of the scheme in the state. Issa Mohammed reports.
One of the efforts of the federal government to reduce the effect of COVID-19 pandemic on Nigerians is the provision of shelter for healthy living through the National Social Housing Program.
This is a kind of palliative program, right, to cushion the effect of COVID-19. So federal government is the one funding 100%.
A program that majority of our members will benefit from.
Permanent Secretary, Nasarawa State Ministry of Commerce, Industries and Investment, Al-Qasim Ibrahim, reiterated state government commitment to provision of social services to better the lives of its people.
I have the conviction that something good will come out of it.
We are very, very fortunate to hear that this other intervention is coming, and we are ready to be part of it.
According to the template for the program, the cost of the houses will range between 1.8 to 4 million naira. In Lafia, Issa Muhammad, NTA News.
Talking food now, the International Fund for Agricultural Development is assisting Nigeria's sample and compile the views and concerns of rural farmers preparatory to the forthcoming United Nations Food Summit. Musa Babali reports that meetings have been organized with stakeholders in rural communities in 8 states for the exercise.
Nigeria is among countries invited to actively participate in the Food System Summit being organized by the Office of the United Nations Secretary General, scheduled to take place this year. The summit is to discuss issues relating to the entire food value chain and nutrition.
From the food production to processing, transportation, marketing, handling, trading, and the consumption. So we're looking at also the environment where this food are being processed.
All that is in views of smallholder farmers, the Federal Ministry of Agriculture says is paramount. Assembled here are representatives of different smallholder farmer groups, itemizing issues they believe could improve food production, supply, and nutrition.
All these people will come over to Abuja. They will now sit down together and harmonize all the various contributions and then come out with one single position paper that will be submitted.
Similar fora have been held in Kogi, Bayelsa, Ondo, and Abia states. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
In terms of security, confirmation from the Imo State Police Command shows that the attack on the Oji Divisional Police Headquarters has been repelled. The Police Public Relations Officer, Bala Elkana, dispelled social media reports on the burning of the Divisional Police Headquarters. It says a group of hoodlums invaded the police station, attempting to set it ablaze, but met stiff resistance from the police officers on duty. As at now, there's heavy exchange of gunfire between the police and the hoodlums, who are yet to be identified. The PPRO also confirmed that there are already casualties on the part of the attackers, while the Commissioner of Police, who is already at the scene of the incident, has deployed more police to the area. Youth participation in governance and other spheres of national development has been described as a sure way of strengthening security and building a strong economy. These are views of stakeholders at the National Youth Security Summit. Abdurrahman Husman Jibrila reports.
Youth are said to be the vanguard of the society, hence the need to involve them in the peace-building process through participation in politics and governance of the country. Stakeholders believed that the orientation of the mindset of youth on religious bigotry, ethnic profiling, and regional sentiments will enhance mutual trust and understanding.
The Nigerian youths must be able to understand that they have a role to play
in building a peaceful and prosperous Nigeria. And I stated emphatically that this must be done through strategic thinking and the other initiatives which can only come from their basis of intellectual build-up.
Getting the best out of the youths, trying to talk with them, trying to talk with all sectors. For me, this is a big task, and I'm going to use it to get down to the youths across the nation, using all kinds of platforms, physical, virtual, and ensuring that the level of insecurity is highly reduced.
Take the message down to our states, local governments, and world, so that we can re-emphasize the atmosphere of peace in Nigeria. The summit is expected to come up with resolutions that will strengthen unity and foster national integration. In Abuja, Abraham Usman Jibrila, NTA News.
Still on security, reactivation of community policing and making the police to gain public trust dominated discussions at a security interface with the Deputy Inspector General of Police, South, DIG Moses Jitobo, at police headquarters, Ikot Akpanabia, Uyo. Kelvin Samuel was there and now reports.
Security stakeholders meeting was a platform to interact with the people in order to find lasting solution to the increasing security challenges. A situation stakeholders described as worrisome, even as they call on the police to step up measures in ensuring the return of normalcy.
I lend my voice with a lot of what others have said, including, and very important, the community policing.
The Nigerian police force should be properly equipped and provided with modern operational logistics.
Deputy Inspector General of Police, Moses Jitobo, while warning criminals to disease, the DIG noted that with the new slogan, Never Again, improved welfare for officers as well as a supply of modern crime-fighting equipment, the morale of officers are high and ready to carry out their responsibilities.
Peace will be restored. Operation Restore Peace has come to stamp its feet. And we want to tell them that we have also adopted a slogan called Never Again. Never again will policemen be killed unjustly. Never again will police institutions be burnt, police barracks, police stations be burnt. Never again.
The DIG, who had paid a visit to some of the hotspots for first-hand knowledge of the situation, on arrival inspected a guard of honor. In Uyo, Kevin Samuel, NTA.
You're still watching Nationwide on NTA. Let's head to Maiduguri, and Abubakar will be our guide. Hello, Abubakar.
Hi, Elizabeth, and thank you for joining us. 40 unemployed youths in Borno have received starter packs at the end of 3 days intensive vocational skill training in the state capital, Maiduguri, as part of a pilot phase program organized by the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development. The beneficiaries are expected to engage in trades that will enhance their quality of lives as well as make them employers of labor. Memuna Garba completes the story.
taimako da aka yi mana Allah ya saka da alheri su ma manyan mu da suka mana wannan abu su ma Allah ya taimake su Allah ya kare su
that you people give us, it will help us help the community and help our family, because many of us we have the skill but we don't know how to start it, but you people encouraging us, give us the zeal that we can do it.
These are some of the 40 youth who participated in the vocational skill training and was given a starter pack. Other participants got bathing kits and generators, sewing machines and digital phone recharger for business, among others. The vocational skill training was part of the Humanitarian Ministry's quest for durable solution to prevent and counter violent extremism, considering the nation's huge human and natural resources, especially if properly harnessed, could bring about development and economic growth. It is also to engage the teeming unemployed youth in a meaningful venture to enable them become self-reliant. Commissioner for Women Affairs, Zoe Gambo, commended the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadia Umar Farouk, for unwavering support to people of Borno and concern shown to their plight in the face of lingering security challenges. She enjoined the beneficiaries to make judicious use of the starter kits and commended Borno State government for supporting the program. More youths are expected to benefit from next phase of the training. In Maiduguri, Maimuna Garba, NTA News.
850 persons from 4 local government councils of southern Borno benefited from federal government empowerment grant through the Small and Medium Enterprise Development Agency, SMEDAN. The Livelihood Support Initiative, meant to enhance the economic lives of the mostly agrarian rural communities, was federal lawmaker representing the area, Mukhtar Betara Aliyu. Jadwa John Jesney now reports.
The federal government initiative to alleviate poverty in Biu, Kwayakusar, Bayu and Shani local government councils of southern Borno by the Small and Medium Enterprise Development Agency followed a recent one by the Ministry for Humanitarian Affairs targeting vulnerable women in the areas. This maiden empowerment grant of 100,000 naira each to 800 beneficiaries is meant to boost their agricultural practice, commerce and trade to enhance the economic life of the rural dwellers.
Yana so ya kora mana talauci shi yasa ya bamu wannan taimako musamman mu mata bamu da abin yi muna da yawa Allah ya saka mushi da alkhairi.
Giving people their ATM cards containing 100,000 naira into it.
The distribution of the grant was flagged off by the federal lawmaker representing the area who facilitated the support, Mukhtar Betara Aliyu. The federal legislator had appealed to the people to invest the funds wisely so as to alleviate their sufferings, enhance the quality of their livelihoods and their communities. The chairman House of Representative Committee on Budget and Appropriation, Mukhtar Betara Aliyu, appreciated the federal government for his support to the people of his constituency, imploring them to be patient as the federal government is doing everything possible to impact on their lives positively. The Emir of Biu, May Mustafa Umar Mustafa, and that of Shani, Muhammad Nasur Melafia, appreciated the federal lawmaker and SMEDAN for the empowerment that will no doubt reduce poverty, create jobs, and check insecurity. In Maiduguri, Jadwa, John Jesney, NTA News.
And those are the latest stories at this time from Maiduguri. Elizabeth in Abuja has the next set of reports on Nationwide. So, Lizzie, it's back to you now.
Thank you so much, Abubakar. You're still watching Nationwide. Let's take a break now. We'll be right back.
Nigeria joins the world to mark the 2021 World Day for Cultural Diversity for Dialogue and Development, otherwise known as the World Cultural Day, to raise awareness on the role of culture in sustainable socio-economic growth and development. With Nigeria's 2021 theme being Cultural Diversity in the COVID-19 era, a sensitization and awareness roadwork is slated for Wednesday, 26th May 2021 at the Radio House by 9 a.m. The grand finale comes up at National Press Center Radio House on Thursday, 27th May 2021 by 9 a.m. with exhibition of cultural diversity of the country. Announcing Ministry of Information and Culture.
Nigerian youths are about the greatest assets the country has at the moment. It is therefore not surprising that the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari is strategically responding to the yearnings of the youth through multiple projects and programs. Youth entrepreneurship support years by Bank of Industry, the Youth Investment Fund by the CBN, and several other conditional cash transfer programs. Recruitment of 774,000 social workers, majority of whom are youths, and so many other projects that are beneficial to youths directly or indirectly. If the administration can do all this, definitely with a degree of patience and time, it can achieve more. Nigerian youths must come together to say no to terrorism, no to vandalism, and no to all disruptive tendencies. Hashtag Youth for Greater Nigeria. Pacifying the youths, unifying the nation.
Glad to know you're still there. Deputy Governor of Cross River State, Professor Ivara Esu, has cleared the air on his party's affiliation after formally registering as an EPC member at his word. The Deputy Governor spoke with correspondents on the need to maintain peace in the state, irrespective of the party anyone belongs to. Paul Abel reports.
After Governor Ben Ayade decamped from PDP to APC a few days ago, there have been speculations, especially in the social media, that his deputy, Professor Ivara Esu, may remain in the PDP. But the deputy governor has this to say to clarify the situation.
I am a fully registered member of the All Progressive Congress, APC. And I can show you my membership registration slip. There's no doubt whatsoever that, I have moved along with my principal, Senator Professor Ben Ayade, from the PDP to the APC.
The deputy governor also sues for peace between the two political parties. Professor Esu promised that the movement will not hinder the administration from fulfilling its developmental projects, as the government of Ben Ayade hopes to finish strong. In Calabar, Paul Abel, NTA News.
And still from Calabar, the leadership of the People's Democratic Party in Cross River State is calling on the people of the state and party stalwarts to remain law-abiding in spite of the defection of Governor Ben Ayade to the APC. This was during an interaction with the caucus of the party and stalwarts held in Calabar, where members were further advised to remain undaunted and strive to reposition the party in the state. Erica Evie reports.
From Obanliku to Bakassi local government areas of Cross River State, stalwarts have come to show solidarity to the party. The leaders of the party took turns to offer advice to party faithful, calling for restraint from violence as measures are being put in place to get its secretariat. Other stakeholders and party stalwarts decry the attitude of taking over the PDP party secretariat.
This party will rededicate itself to you.
We in the National Assembly have continued to speak truth to power.
Let's play the politics now. The game has started.
The meeting afforded the leadership and members of the party to interface, while re-strategizing ahead of the party's victory in the states. In Calabar, Erika Evie, NTA.
Let's now join Susan in our Makurdi Network Center for more reports. Hello, Susan.
Elizabeth, welcome to Makurdi. 2021 Senior Executive Course participants of the National Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies, NIPS, has identified Borno State as strategic for a study tour following its strides in governance. Leader of the delegation, Professor Fatai Aremu, stated this during a visit to Governor Samuel Otom in Makurdi. Charles Abba reports.
For more than 4 decades,
The National Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies, NIPSS, has served as the nation's think tank of policy formations for the leadership, bureaucrats, army officers, middle and senior civil servants, and other policy makers. Leader of the delegation of senior executive course participants of the Institute, Professor Fatai Aremu said the purpose of the visit is to undergo a study tour of the state and report findings to the presidency for overall development of the country.
Participants are expected by this visit to learn, study, and understand the strategies for policy and program implementation in various states.
Governor Samuel Otom, who described the program as apt, gave the assurance of his administration's commitment to continuous contribution to policies and programs that are tailored towards the development and progress of the country.
The topic, getting things done, policy and program implementation, is very apt, and I believe that at the end of your term here in Benue State, you should have something to add to this topic, so that when you're giving your final report, it will definitely add value.
Wish the participants success in their mission. Among the participants are top military officers, directors general of organizations, permanent secretaries, directors, and others. In Makudi, Charles Abba, NTA News.
In its efforts to streamline various security outfits in the state, Benue State government has disbanded the various vigilante groups operating in the state. Governor Samuel Otom announced this when he met with officials of the groups with the Commissioner for Police and Security, advisor to the governor, at Government House in Makudi. Charles Abba reports that the governor only recognizes security outfits backed up by the law.
Governor Samuel Otom said, although the vigilante groups have been rendering complementary security services in various communities of the state, there are no legal instruments backing their operations. He therefore disbanded the groups and warned that whoever found in the uniform and operating as such would be arrested and prosecuted.
I sought to see the law establishing Benue Vigilante Group. And no one could lay hands on any law. We invited the stakeholders to formally let them know that they were operating an illegal group.
The governor, however, advised that operatives of the groups interested in volunteer guards that is backed up by law should proceed to their wards and get enlisted. He disclosed that the volunteer guards members will be trained and kitted to enable them to effectively deliver on their mandate.
And the law is very clear. They are going to work with the security agencies. In all the committees from the state level, the Commissioner of Police is there, the Director of DSS is there, the management committee at the state level. At the local government level, there is the DPO and the officer in charge of DSS at that level, down to the ward and kindred and to the tax collectors level.
It will be recalled that Benue stakeholders met recently and resolved on full implementation of the volunteer guards to assist security agencies with intelligence gathering to stem the tide of criminality in the state. In Makudi, Charles Abba, NTA News.
As the nation observes Day 2 of directives to fly the flag at half-mast, most offices and public buildings in Makudi are yet to fully comply with the federal government's directive to honor the late Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Attahiru. Ashezi Gopep reports.
The directive, which is to honor the memories and services of the late Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Attahiru, as well as other senior military officers and service members who died in a plane crash on Friday last week. Although our camera lens captured few flags at half-masts at some offices, most offices visited are, however, yet to comply. At the Federal Secretariat, it was a different ball game.
To be flown at half-mast in this Federal Secretariat. So it's an issue that I have actually looked at with a counter view. And, well, I think it's a right thing to be done for somebody who gallantly died in service of the fatherland.
When NTA crew sought to find out why, most of the officials were not available for comment, but a few who spoke off camera claimed ignorance of the directive. Others, nevertheless, commended the initiative to honor those who died in the ill-fated plane crash.
Strictly, he deserved that honor. Not only him, other fallen heroes who died with him. Yes, so that the world will know that Nigeria has concern. Nigeria is interested in the services of the Nigerian army and all the armed forces.
They should have observed the directive of the president by giving them that honor, even though we are saying that that is not enough.
The directive, which is with effect from Monday 24th May, is to last till Wednesday 26th May 2021. In Makudi, Ashezigopep, NTA News.
That's our package from Makudi. NTA Nationwide continues with Elizabeth in Abuja.
Thank you, Susan. Lack of effective implementation of articulate policies and programs by successive governments in Nigeria has been identified as the factor retarding the nation's socio-economic development. Members of the Senior Executive Course 43 of the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies made the statement in Dutse when they paid a recent visit to Jigawa State. Mohammed Musa Askira reports.
Working under a theme, Getting Things Done, Strategies, Policies and Programs Implementation, the Group 7 members of the Senior Executive Course 43 of NIMS stated that President Muhammadu Buhari has directed them to conduct their group research on the secret behind successful implementation of people's-driven policies and programs in Jigawa State.
We have this attitudinal problem. Nigerians need to cultivate the attitude of being patriotic. If we love our country, we will do our best to make sure that whatever policies or programs government come out with, they are implemented.
To get first-hand information on the state, the course participants conversed with the state deputy governor and the emir of Dutse with issues of national security and wealth creation through agriculture dominating the discussions.
The fact is that today, a farmer in Jigawa will always be happy to go into his farm because he's been supported. And the rural-urban migration in Jigawa State is reducing gradually, and because people are going into agriculture.
For so many years, we're still asking ourselves whether we are Nigerians or we belong to different tribal groups. We're still asking that question, which is unfortunate after 100 years or so. We still have not agreed that this is a nation that we ought to work for and develop.
The visiting professionals course participants are expected to hold more interactions with some selected groups and visitations to some national assets and monuments in Jigawa State. From Dutse, Muhammad Musa Askira, NTA News.
Muslims must constantly recite and study the Holy Quran to be abreast of its teachings for the guidance that will benefit them in this world and the hereafter. Al-Azhar University Cairo expatriate teachers working in the College of Arabic and Islamic Studies of Center Abuja, which organize Quran and Hadith reading competitions, say it will be beneficial to the spiritual upliftment of all Muslims. Explaining the benefits children and parents of those who read Quran enjoy, the event also reminded Muslims of the status of Quran, which directs them on what to or not do, including being good to all, irrespective of tribe, religion, race, and any differences.
This is one teachers in all over the globe, including our country and Nigeria. The essence that we mentioned that never can you find someone who knows the Quran or committed in memory except that he happens to be a student of Allah or he is taught by a student of Allah. And that is what Allah.
Prizes were presented to winners. Talking health now, the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria dissociates itself from the claims of one of its members, Dr. Samuel Adekola, on the issue of legalizing Indian hemp for medical use. Dr. Samuel Adekola was said to have made some unsubstantiated and uncorroborated claims that Nigerian pharmacists support legalizing Indian hemp for medical use. The pharmacists say they share the concern of most Nigerians who have expressed worries over this claim, as it is not only premature but assaults public health and societal sanity. The statement observes that with the nation's weak drug laws and chaotic drug distribution system, legalizing cannabis for medical use now will only increase items classified as substance of abuse. It expresses support for robust research into cannabis, devoid of pecuniary interest, given its harmful effects on the brain, especially the young developing ones. The statement urges the media and the general public to disregard Dr. Adekola's claims, as he lacks the authority to speak on behalf of Nigerian pharmacists. The fluctuation of number of COVID-19 infections continues in 2 digits, as 42 new cases have been recorded in Nigeria within the last 24 hours, bringing the country's total confirmed cases to 166,061. The Niger Center for Disease Control indicates that among the 42 new cases, Lagos has 14, Gombe 11, Ebonyi and Kano 5 new cases each, FCT 4, Edo, Kaduna and Rivers recorded 1 case each. NCDC records show that the total discharged cases so far is 156,492, while the death toll stands at 2,067. The European Council has welcomed the acceleration of vaccinations across the EU agreement reached at a special meeting in Brussels. The EU digital COVID certificate, while calling for these efforts to be sustained and its rapid implementation with a view to facilitating travel throughout the EU. Herman Jabani now reports on some of the issues discussed during the 2-day meeting.
European Council members held a special meeting in Brussels to discuss pressing issues like foreign relations, including Russia and UK. The discussions also include migration, Middle East, as well as on the preparation of the upcoming EU-US summit. The special meeting looked at EU's response to COVID-19 and reaffirmed their commitment to increase their vaccine sharing support to third countries, especially through COVAX. The EU leaders seek to provide additional guidance to the Commission for its upcoming proposal in the context of the EU's endorsement to be climate neutral by 2050.
And also the digital green certificate in respect of travel. Considerable agreement now has been reached in relation to that certificate, and that's good news. And also in terms of the vaccine situation, production is increasing quite significantly across Europe. That's good news.
EU and Russia. We condemn the Russia's illegal, provocative and disruptive activities. We express our solidarity with member states, especially the Czech Republic and the Eastern partners.
The protocol is the only possible solution to ensure peace and stability in Northern Ireland while protecting the integrity of the European Union single market.
These 2 agreements provide the framework for EU's relations with the UK and outline clear provision on rights and obligations for both parties. Hamad Jabani, NTA News.
The First Lady has described late Aisha Jumai Al-Hassan as a pillar of support to Nigerian women irrespective of their backgrounds. She stated this in Abuja during a condolence visit to the family of the deceased, who died recently after protracted illness. State House correspondent Ali Kabir reports.
Condoling the family of late Aisha Jumai Al-Hassan, who was a former Minister of Women Affairs, the First Lady of Nigeria, Aisha Muhammad Buhari, was received by the members of the family of the deceased, led by her younger brother Ibrahim Abubakar Jalingo. While consoling with the family, the First Lady described late Aisha Jumai Al-Hassan as the troubled woman, pillar of support to all Nigerian women and a source of inspiration. She added that late Jumai Al-Hassan was a courageous woman who stood in for the advancement of women, especially the welfare and the well-being of girl child. She prayed to Allah to grant her al-Jannatul Firdaus. Mrs. Buhari described the death of late Mama Traba, as she was popularly known, as the loss to not only the family but the whole nation, especially for the women and children. The First Lady therefore identified with the family in mourning the death of late Hajia Jome Alasan and urged them to keep praying for the repose of her soul. It could be recalled that the former minister Al-Hassan died in Cairo Hospital in Egypt after a protracted illness recently and has since been buried in accordance with Islamic rites in her home state, Taraba. In the meantime, the First Lady has condoled with the wife and the family members of late Brigadier General Olatunji Olayinka, who died in a recent plane crash in Kaduna alongside the late Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru, and other gallant officers. Late Olayinka, until his death, was the Provost Marshal of the Nigerian Army. The First Lady, in a condolence message through the Special Assistant African First Lady's Peace Mission, Dr. Mero Almakura, described late Olayinka as a true patriot who died in line of duty while putting in his best towards tackling the challenges of insecurity in the country.
She has asked me to tell them this is not just their grief, it's not just the Nigerian army, but the whole country. And she's with them in prayers, and she prays that Almighty guide them right, the children and the family has left behind.
She prayed to God to grant him eternal rest and give the family the fortitude to bear the loss. In Abuja, Aliu Kabir, NTA News.
Next is Sports Update.
Nigerian para-table tennis players resumed camping at the National Stadium, Lagos on Tuesday, as directed by the Ministry of Youth and Sports Development ahead of the Paralympic Games. 14 players are expected to take part in the camping exercise, which will see the players train twice a day to enable the team attain podium performance.
The standard is going to be high because some of the able-bodied will be training also with them.
And stay in an enabling environment, keep away from distractions.
In volleyball, the latest CAVB Senior Continental rankings for men indicate that Nigerian male volleyball team is now ranked 13th alongside Niger, Kenya, and Libya, while their female counterparts occupy the 16th position on the log.
As the African Nations Cup and other championships are coming this year, we will have an improved the African position.
In tennis, a junior tennis championship tagged Major General Adeyinka Adebayo Memorial Tennis Masters in the southwest Nigeria has been concluded in Ekiti State, raising the hope of future champions in the country.
The only way we can buckle up with the rest of the world is to come up with tournaments.
In football loving Nigerians have continued to react to the 24 players list released by Coach Gennett Rowe ahead of the international friendly match between Super Eagles of Nigeria and the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon, slated for Austria next Friday.
Team list is strong enough to get victory.
I think it's going to be a new life in the Super Eagles, whether you are playing in Nigeria, playing anywhere in the world.
In the Nigerian National League, midweek fixtures indicate that Ibom Youth will entertain Gateway United. Crown FC will be the guest of JRTT on Wednesday. Similarly, on Wednesday, it will be time for round 23 matches of the Nigerian Professional Football League, as Adamawa United will trade tackles with Katsina United, while Enyimba will be the guest of Wiki Tourist, among other matches. From the international scene, Ole Gunnar Tutod Manchester United will on Wednesday night attempt to win its first silverware when the team go head-to-head with Villarreal in the Europa League final. With Sports Update, Olumide Kuntola, NTA News.
And Sports Update ends nationwide today. Thank you so much for your time. Don't forget to connect with us at the NTA Stand Against Rape and Rapist. Good evening.
You can get more news and updates on www.nta.ng or follow us on our Twitter handle at NTA News Now. You can also like us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/NTA Network News. And also stay connected and subscribe to our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/NTA News Online. Also remember to watch our news live streaming at www.nta.ng/live.